My grandma once told me that she admired her father, my great-grandpa Jim, because he is always willing to help any of his family when they need it, his love for his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and how they all love being around him too. I also admire how he never gives up and keeps himself in great shape at the age of 85. In the 85 years that my great-grandfather has lived, he has faced many challenges, worked many different jobs. He has been married, started a family, and he has also made a positive impact on many people throughout his life.
Jim Graves was born on April 6, 1939.
In rural Gallatin County. He grew up on his mother's family farm and spent most of his time growing up around that farm. When asked what his earliest memory was, he said that it was growing up on the farm. In his own words, he says, "We had neighbors, but there weren't any boys that were my age for at least a mile. At a young age, you wouldn't walk over a mile just for some company."
When asked who the most influential people in his life growing up were, he said that it was his two oldest brothers, Bill and Charles.
When asked what his favorite subject was in school, he immediately said history. He said, "I was always interested in it. I didn't think we needed world history though. I really enjoyed American history, and there wasn't enough local history in the books." When asked if there was a teacher that he remembered being particularly influential, he said,
Yeah, there was one guy. I didn't respect teachers very much. One fellow, he could come across to you, and you'd listen to him. And that's what you got to do. If that teacher, if you don't respect him, you're not going to learn much from him. And some teachers are like know-it-alls, or they were then. I don't know if they are now or not.
Academically, Jim wasn't the best student. He said he really didn't like to study and struggled some. He had no plans to finish school, and all he was waiting for was to turn 16 years old so that he could get a driver's license, and he was just going to quit school. He said that his least favorite thing about school was trying to fit in with everything, because he spent most of his time working. Even though it took him an extra year, Jim Graves eventually graduated from El Dorado High School. Jim's favorite music in high school was country and rock and roll music. He said that country music I was really into, and then this rock and roll thing came along, and I fit in there pretty well. But that was about it. Jim's first job that he had was detasseling corn for DeKalb. He said, "That's probably some of the hardest and hottest work that I've ever done in my life. Conditions were terrible, days were long, and there wasn't much pay." Jim has had many different jobs throughout his life. He has worked at the steel mills in East Chicago, Indiana, although he said that job didn't impress him much. His real passion was trucking. When asked how his career has created value in his life, he said, "Driving trucks. That's the only place you can make any money and not have a degree. There's a lot of pitfalls in it too, though. You have to be careful, but it's been good to me." Jim's parents were Ruth and Roscoe Graves. Jim also had 5 siblings: Bill, Charles, Sue, Roy, and Johnny Bob. Jim had a close bond with all of his siblings. When asked what ways his parents had influenced him, he said, "Work ethics. That had to be the biggest influence on me. Being reliable, and whatever you say, back it up. If you say you're going to be there, and once you're there, do the best you can." Jim married Mary Lou Harris, and they had 3 children, Lisa, Jamie, and Julie.
Have you ever been married, and to whom and for how long?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been married once.
Okay.
And my wife, your grandmother,
Great grandmother.
and a long time.
Yeah.
Well, good grief, 65?
62 years.
Oh, 60, yeah, 62.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was your first love?
I guess my wife.
Okay.
Oh, you think you're in love, but I'll tell you what. A lot of times you think you're in love, and all it is, you're just in heat.
Jim's goal as a parent was to raise his children as best as he could while trying to be fair. When asked what would be one thing that he would like to see change in the current political atmosphere, he said this.
We need a third party.
Yeah.
When we need it bad.
Mm-hmm.
These two we got now is a joke. And don't kid yourself. Our next president is already made up, and he will be president regardless of who we vote for. They've already put together money.
Mm-hmm.
Money runs it all.
Yep.
When asked what the biggest lesson that he has learned in life was, he said, "You better be honest, because if you're not, it's going to come back to bite you right where you don't want it to." I am very lucky to have my Grandpa Jim. He has had an everlasting impact on everyone that he has come in contact with. He always tries to make sure that everyone in the family is safe and taken care of. My mother has told me several stories about how my grandpa constantly gives to those in need, but he never wants the recognition for it. He gives because he cares so much about the people around him. My grandpa is one of the most selfless people I know, and I am very lucky to have him.